Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a story. A woman sits alone at her kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. Birthday wishes are pouring in. Well, mostly from coworkers and family. She's grateful, but there's a lump in her throat because there's no call from a friend saying, let's celebrate. No group text lighting up with laughter or plans. She looks at her life, a demanding career, a home she's proud of, and a list of accomplishments that should make her feel fulfilled. But at that moment, she feels more isolated than she'd like to admit. This woman could be any of us. Maybe it's been you at some point. Maybe it's me. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness and independence. Do it all on your own, they say. Who needs anyone else? But here's the thing, independence without connection is just another kind of loneliness. The reality is, no one sets out to be a woman with no friends. Life happens, we move cities, relationships end, we prioritize our kids, our partners, or our careers over ourselves. And then one day we wake up and realize that the web of connections we once took for granted has frayed. And here's where it gets tricky. Admitting you feel lonely feels shameful. There's this narrative that if you're successful, you're supposed to have a thriving social life to match. And if you don't, it must mean there's something wrong with you. But let me tell you, this loneliness isn't a personal failure. It's a human experience. Research tells us that connection is the very thing that makes us feel alive. It's not just a want, it's a need. And yet so many of us are walking around disconnected, guarded, afraid to reach out, afraid to be vulnerable because we think we'll be judged. But vulnerability is where it starts. Rebuilding connection isn't about waiting for someone to knock on your door or invite you in. It's about courageously showing up and saying, I miss having people I can laugh with, cry with, and just be myself around. It's about risking rejection to build something real. The truth is, connection doesn't happen overnight. It starts with small, brave steps. Inviting someone for coffee, joining a book club, or even just sending that awkward, hey, it's been a while text. And here's the most important part, be the friend you wish you had. When we show up authentically, we create space for others to do the same. So if you're sitting here today, and this resonates, if you've ever felt like the woman with no friends, I want you to know this. It's never too late to create meaningful connections. You are not too busy, too flawed, or too far gone. The courage to connect doesn't come from having all the answers or being the perfect friend. It comes from showing up as you are, imperfect, messy, and beautifully human. Because at the end of the day, connection isn't about quantity. It's about quality. It's about the people who see you, hear you, and hold space for you just as you are. And that starts with you taking the first step. Loneliness is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the human experience. It often carries a stigma that leads people to believe that if they are lonely, they are somehow inadequate or failing at life. However, loneliness is not a reflection of a person's worth or abilities. It is a natural emotional signal, much like hunger or thirst, designed to alert us to the absence of something essential to our well-being. In this case, it's the absence of meaningful social connections. Understanding this distinction is critical to reframing loneliness, not as a personal shortcoming, but as a fundamental part of being human. At its core, loneliness is an emotional response to a perceived lack of connection or intimacy with others. It can occur even when someone is surrounded by people, proving that it is not just about physical isolation, but about the quality of relationships and the feeling of being understood and valued. Studies in psychology and neuroscience have shown that humans are wired for connection. Social bonds are not merely optional add-ons to a fulfilling life. They're integral to our survival and mental health. When those bonds are weakened or absent, the resulting loneliness can trigger emotional pain that is as real and impactful as physical pain. From an evolutionary perspective, Loneliness can be understood as a mechanism to keep humans connected. Early humans survived in groups, relying on one another for protection, food, and resources. Loneliness acted as a signal, pushing individuals to seek out companionship and restore their place in the community. While modern life has evolved significantly, the human brain still responds to loneliness in ways that reflect our ancient needs. The feelings of discomfort and sadness associated with loneliness are not meant to punish us, but to encourage us to address the gap in our connections. The problem arises when loneliness persists and goes unaddressed. Chronic loneliness can have serious implications for mental and physical health. Research has linked prolonged loneliness to increased stress levels, depression, anxiety, and even physical conditions such as heart disease and weakened immune function. It can also lead to a sense of shame or self-blame, where individuals internalize the belief that their loneliness is a result of personal inadequacies. This negative self-perception can create a cycle in which people withdraw further, making it even harder to form the connections they need. One of the reasons loneliness feels so personal is because it touches on our innate fear of rejection and exclusion. Humans have an inherent desire to belong, and when we experience loneliness, it can feel like a direct challenge to that need. This often leads people to hide their feelings of loneliness out of fear of being judged or misunderstood. However, it's important to recognize that loneliness is universal. Everyone experiences it at some point in their lives, whether during transitions like moving to a new city after the end of a relationship or even in periods of self-reflection. The experience of loneliness does not discriminate. It touches people of all ages, backgrounds, and lifestyles. By reframing loneliness as a human experience rather than a personal failure, we can begin to approach it with greater compassion and understanding. This shift in perspective allows individuals to see their feelings of loneliness as a natural response rather than a defect in themselves. It opens the door to addressing loneliness without shame and empowers people to seek out solutions. Just as we would not blame ourselves for feeling hungry, we should not blame ourselves for feeling lonely. It is simply a sign that something important is missing and needs attention. Education about loneliness is essential to breaking the stigma that surrounds it. When people are taught to view loneliness as a shared human experience, they are more likely to seek help and build connections. This understanding can start in schools, workplaces, and communities, fostering environments where people feel safe discussing their emotions and reaching out to others. By normalizing conversations about loneliness, society can reduce the shame associated with it and promote healthier ways to cope. Understanding loneliness as a human experience rather than a failure is a powerful step toward healing and growth. It reminds us that feeling lonely does not mean we are broken. It means we are human. Recognizing this truth encourages us to approach our own loneliness and that of others with empathy and a commitment to fostering meaningful connections. Connection is fundamental to human existence and well-being. It is not merely a social preference or an emotional luxury, but a biological necessity deeply rooted in our evolution and psychology. The need for connection begins at birth and continues throughout life, shaping how we perceive ourselves, relate to others, and navigate the world. From childhood attachment bonds to adult relationships, the quality of our connections has a profound impact on our physical health, emotional stability, and overall sense of purpose. Research in neuroscience has shown that humans are hardwired for connection. The brain's social circuitry is active from the moment we are born, enabling us to form bonds with caregivers and later with peers and communities. These bonds are not just for comfort, they play a vital role in our development and survival. Infants who experience secure attachment with their caregivers are more likely to develop healthy coping mechanisms, emotional regulation, and a sense of trust in others. This foundation highlights how essential connection is not only for survival, but also for thriving as a human being. As we grow older, the need for connection does not diminish. In fact, it becomes even more critical as we navigate the complexities of adulthood. Strong relationships provide support during challenging times, celebrate achievements, and offer a sense of belonging. They act as a buffer against stress, reducing the likelihood of developing mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Studies consistently show that people with close social ties live longer, experience better health outcomes, and report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. These findings emphasize that connection is not just about companionship, it is a cornerstone of well-being. The absence of meaningful connection, on the other hand, can have serious consequences. Loneliness and social isolation are associated with increased risks of chronic diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. Prolonged loneliness can weaken the immune system, making the body more susceptible to illness. Moreover, the mental health impact of disconnection is significant. People who lack supportive relationships are more likely to experience feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, and despair. This underscores the vital role that connection plays in maintaining both mental and physical health. Connection is also essential for fostering a sense of identity and purpose. Relationships help us understand who we are by reflecting our values, beliefs, and behaviors. When we connect with others, we see aspects of ourselves mirrored back, which can affirm our sense of self or challenge us to grow. Meaningful interactions provide opportunities for empathy, collaboration, and learning, enriching our personal development and broadening our perspectives. These experiences contribute to a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose, reinforcing why connection is indispensable to a well-rounded life. In addition to personal relationships, connection at a community level is equally important. Being part of a group or community gives people a sense of belonging that extends beyond individual relationships. Whether it is through a neighborhood, workplace, or shared interest group, community connections foster cooperation, trust, and collective resilience. Communities that prioritize connection tend to be healthier, more supportive, and better equipped to address challenges. This demonstrates that connection is not just about individual well-being, but also about creating environments where people can thrive together. Despite its importance, fostering connection can be challenging in today's world. Modern life often emphasizes independence, productivity, and self-sufficiency, which can lead to neglecting the time and effort required to maintain relationships. Digital communication, while convenient, sometimes lacks the depth and intimacy needed to build meaningful connections. The fast-paced nature of life can leave people feeling disconnected even when they are surrounded by others. Recognizing these barriers is a crucial step in prioritizing connection as an essential part of well-being. Education about the importance of connection is vital in addressing these challenges. Teaching people the value of authentic relationships and how to nurture them can have far-reaching benefits. This includes encouraging open communication, active listening, and emotional vulnerability as foundational skills for building deeper bonds. By emphasizing the importance of connection in schools, workplaces, and communities, we can create a culture that values relationships as much as individual achievement. Ultimately, connection is the foundation upon which all other aspects of well-being are built. It is through our relationships that we find support, meaning, and the ability to navigate life's uncertainties. When we prioritize connection, we invest not only in our own well-being, but in the collective well-being of those around us. Recognizing the essential nature of connection allows us to approach relationships with intentionality and gratitude, ensuring that we nurture this fundamental human need. Vulnerability is the emotional and psychological openness that allows people to form genuine connections. It is the willingness to be seen, heard, and understood in a way that exposes one's authentic self. While vulnerability may feel uncomfortable, it is the essential ingredient for building meaningful relationships. Without it, connections often remain shallow, transactional, or insincere. Embracing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous act that fosters trust, empathy, and deeper understanding between individuals. The role of vulnerability in connection is rooted in human psychology. People are naturally drawn to authenticity because it creates a sense of safety and belonging. When someone shares their true thoughts, feelings, or experiences, it signals trust and invites others to do the same. This mutual exchange is the foundation of strong relationships where both parties feel valued and accepted. Vulnerability helps to break down barriers, allowing individuals to move past superficial interactions and engage in deeper, more meaningful exchanges. Vulnerability also plays a critical role in trust building. Trust is not something that can be demanded or assumed. It must be earned through consistent, honest, and open communication. Sharing personal stories, fears, or struggles demonstrates authenticity and signals a willingness to engage on a deeper level. This openness encourages others to reciprocate, creating a positive cycle of trust and connection. Conversely, a lack of vulnerability can lead to mistrust or disconnection, as people may perceive emotional distance or dishonesty in relationships where openness is absent. The benefits of vulnerability extend beyond interpersonal relationships. It also enhances self-awareness and emotional intelligence. When individuals embrace vulnerability, they confront their fears, insecurities, and desires, gaining a deeper understanding of themselves. This self-awareness improves their ability to communicate and empathize with others, which strengthens relationships. Vulnerability teaches people that it is okay to express emotions, ask for help, and admit mistakes, all of which are essential for personal growth and resilience. Despite its importance, vulnerability is often avoided because it feels risky. Many people fear rejection, judgment, or ridicule when they expose their true selves. Society sometimes reinforces these fears by promoting images of perfection and self-reliance, making vulnerability seem like a flaw. However, avoiding vulnerability does not eliminate the need for connection. It only creates emotional distance. Relationships without vulnerability often feel hollow or unsatisfying because they lack the depth and honesty required for true intimacy. The fear of vulnerability often stems from past experiences. People who have been hurt, betrayed, or rejected may struggle to open up again, fearing that vulnerability will lead to more pain. However, it is important to recognize that vulnerability is not about oversharing or exposing oneself indiscriminately. It is about choosing to share authentically in the right context and with the right people. Building vulnerability gradually, starting with small acts of openness, can help individuals rebuild trust and confidence in their ability to connect. Education about vulnerability can help people understand its value and overcome their fears. Teaching the concept of emotional courage, the ability to face and express difficult emotions, can empower individuals to approach vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. Practical strategies such as active listening, expressing gratitude, and sharing personal experiences can help foster vulnerability in relationships. Encouraging open dialogue in schools, workplaces, and communities can create environments where vulnerability is embraced and celebrated as a pathway to deeper connection. Vulnerability also fosters empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. When someone is vulnerable, they invite others to see the world through their eyes, creating a bridge of shared understanding. This empathetic connection helps to dissolve judgment and build compassion, strengthening bonds between individuals. Empathy and vulnerability together create a powerful cycle. Vulnerability invites empathy, and empathy encourages further vulnerability, deepening the connection over time. In the context of community, vulnerability can be a unifying force. When individuals share their struggles, hopes, and experiences, they create spaces where others feel less alone. Vulnerability breaks down the illusion of perfection, reminding people that everyone faces challenges and imperfections. This shared humanity fosters a sense of belonging and collective strength, which is essential for building inclusive and supportive communities. Understanding that vulnerability is the foundation of connection allows people to approach relationships with courage and intentionality. It challenges the fear of judgment and emphasizes the value of authenticity in building trust, empathy, and emotional intimacy. By embracing vulnerability, individuals not only enrich their own lives, but also contribute to a culture of openness and connection that benefits everyone around them. Rebuilding meaningful connections in life begins with small, intentional steps. Connection does not happen overnight, nor does it occur by chance. It requires deliberate action, emotional investment, and a willingness to prioritize relationships over convenience or avoidance. Small efforts may seem insignificant, but they are the building blocks of stronger, deeper bonds. Reconnection is a process of reaching out, showing up, and fostering trust and intimacy over time. The first step in reconnection is acknowledging the need for it. Many people go through life feeling disconnected but hesitate to address it because of fear, shame, or uncertainty. Recognizing that connection is a fundamental human need is the starting point for meaningful change. Once someone identifies the gap in their relationships, they can take intentional steps to bridge it. This involves setting aside time to reflect on the relationships that matter most and considering how to nurture or revive them. Reconnection often begins with the simplest acts of reaching out. A text message, phone call, or invitation to meet for coffee may seem small, but it carries great significance. These gestures show that you value the other person and are willing to invest effort in the relationship. Even if the initial response is lukewarm or hesitant, consistency and genuine interest can gradually rebuild trust and closeness. The act of reaching out also requires vulnerability, as it involves risking rejection or indifference, but it is a necessary part of forming deeper connections. Another key aspect of reconnection is active listening. Many relationships falter because people become distracted, impatient, or focused on their own concerns. Active listening means giving full attention to the other person, acknowledging their feelings, and responding with empathy. It is not just about hearing words, but understanding the emotions and intentions behind them. When someone feels truly heard, they are more likely to open up and reciprocate, strengthening the bond between both parties. Intentionality and reconnection also involves making time for the relationship. Modern life is often busy and filled with competing demands, but prioritizing connection requires effort and commitment. Scheduling regular check-ins, meetups, or shared activities ensures that the relationship remains a focus despite external pressures. Even small moments of quality time, like a quick phone call or a thoughtful message, can have a significant impact. These efforts show that you value the relationship and are willing to make it a priority. Forgiveness and understanding are also crucial when rebuilding connections that may have been strained or broken. Past misunderstandings or conflicts can create barriers to reconnection, but addressing them with empathy and a willingness to move forward is essential. This does not mean ignoring the hurt or pretending it never happened. It means acknowledging it, discussing it openly, and seeking resolution. Forgiveness is an act of courage and generosity that allows both parties to heal and rebuild trust. Another effective step in reconnection is finding common ground or shared activities. Engaging in something both people enjoy, whether it is a hobby, sport, or community event, creates opportunities for natural and meaningful interaction. Shared experiences often lead to laughter, bonding, and a sense of togetherness, which strengthens relationships. These activities do not have to be elaborate. Even simple things like walking together, cooking a meal, or working on a project can foster connection. Consistency is critical in the process of reconnection. Relationships do not thrive on occasional grand gestures. They grow through regular, meaningful interactions. Consistency builds trust as it demonstrates reliability and commitment. Over time, consistent efforts help create a sense of security and stability in the relationship, making it easier for both parties to open up and connect on a deeper level. Empathy and patience are important qualities to embrace during reconnection. Every individual has their own pace and comfort level when it comes to building or rebuilding trust. Being patient and understanding the other person's needs allows the relationship to grow naturally without pressure or unrealistic expectations. Reconnection is not about forcing intimacy, but creating a safe and inviting space where it can develop. Lastly, self-awareness plays a vital role in reconnection. Taking the time to reflect on your own behaviors, communication patterns, and emotional needs helps you approach relationships with clarity and intention. Understanding your role in the dynamic allows you to identify areas where you can improve, such as being more present, offering more encouragement, or expressing appreciation. Self-awareness also fosters authenticity, which is the foundation of genuine connection. Reconnection does not require monumental efforts. It thrives on small, intentional steps taken consistently and with care. Each act of reaching out, listening, and showing up contributes to rebuilding bonds and fostering relationships that are meaningful and fulfilling. By focusing on these small actions, individuals can overcome disconnection and create lasting connections that enrich their lives. The foundation of meaningful relationships lies in embodying the qualities you seek in others. When individuals focus on being the kind of friend they hope to have, they set the tone for authenticity, trust, and mutual respect in their relationships. Instead of waiting for others to reach out, provide support, or demonstrate kindness, taking the initiative creates an environment where these positive qualities flourish. Friendship, like any relationship, is a reflection of the effort and energy invested into it. One of the most critical aspects of being a good friend is practicing empathy. Empathy involves understanding and sharing another person's feelings and experiences, creating a sense of connection and trust. To be the friend you wish to have, actively listen without judgment, offer encouragement, and validate the emotions of those around you. Empathy is not about solving someone's problems, but being present with them in their struggles and joys. Showing empathy fosters a bond that makes others feel valued and understood. Consistency is another essential quality of a good friend. Consistency means being reliable and showing up for others, not just during moments of happiness, but also in times of difficulty. People value friendships that feel dependable and steady, where they know they can count on someone to be there for them. Consistency does not require grand gestures, but involves small, regular acts of care and attention that demonstrate commitment to the relationship. A consistent friend creates a sense of security that strengthens the bond over time. Authenticity is at the heart of meaningful connections. To be the friend you wish to have, it is important to show up as your true self. Authenticity allows others to trust and connect with you on a deeper level, as it removes the need for pretense or superficiality. By being genuine about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, you create space for others to do the same. Authenticity also means accepting others as they are, embracing their uniqueness, and encouraging them to be themselves without fear of judgment. Generosity is another key element of being the kind of friend you would want. Generosity in friendships does not always involve material gifts, but can take the form of giving time, attention, and energy. Offering to help when someone is overwhelmed, celebrating their successes, or simply being present during difficult times are ways to practice generosity. A generous friend contributes to the well-being of the relationship by prioritizing the needs and happiness of others without expecting anything in return. Effective communication is also a cornerstone of strong friendships. To be the friend you wish to have, prioritize clear, honest, and kind communication. This includes expressing appreciation, addressing conflicts openly, and sharing your thoughts and feelings in a way that promotes understanding. Communication is a two-way street that requires not only speaking but also listening actively and responding thoughtfully. When communication is transparent and respectful, it creates an environment where trust can thrive. Forgiveness is an essential quality for anyone seeking to be a better friend. No relationship is without misunderstandings or mistakes. To be the kind of friend you desire, practice forgiveness and let go of grudges. Holding on to resentment or past conflicts only creates barriers to connection. Forgiveness does not mean ignoring harmful behavior, but involves addressing issues openly, seeking resolution, and choosing to move forward with compassion. A forgiving friend values the relationship more than the disagreement, fostering resilience and growth. Gratitude is another powerful way to nurture friendships. Expressing appreciation for the people in your life strengthens your bond and makes them feel valued. A simple thank you, acknowledgement of their efforts, or recognition of their positive impact can go a long way in deepening the connection. Gratitude creates an atmosphere of positivity and mutual respect that encourages others to reciprocate and feel inspired by the friendship. Finally, leading by example is a vital aspect of being the friend you wish to have. People often mirror the behaviors and attitudes of those around them. By demonstrating kindness, loyalty, patience, and understanding, you set a standard for how you wish to be treated. This approach not only strengthens your relationships, but also inspires others to cultivate the same qualities in their interactions. Being the friend you wish to have is an empowering approach to building meaningful connections. It shifts the focus from what you want from others to what you can offer, creating a foundation of generosity, empathy, and authenticity. This proactive and intentional mindset fosters relationships that are fulfilling and deeply rooted in mutual respect and care. Each effort made to embody the qualities of a good friend strengthens the bonds you share with others and contributes to a more connected and compassionate life.